Hi everyone, this is Jill from the North Woods. I hope you're doing great. I hope that whatever progress you're on, whatever progress you're trying to make, whatever you're trying to do, it's going well. Whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're on one of these GLP1 drugs, or whether you're just trying to live a better life. This week was a good week. I lost 2.9 pounds. And the interesting thing is I continued my experiment with, can I eat the same thing every day? And that includes a bowl of cottage cheese, one pear, 2 pieces of keto bread, or 2 pieces of the net carb tortillas. I have then the chicken nuggets, either from Bear or Kirkland. And then I have some sort of protein for dinner. Usually it's going to be maybe the chicken sausage from Trader Joe's, maybe 3 ounces of pork, 3 ounces of chicken, 3 ounces of something. But we're trying to, go full force in this, now completing our 7th month of Mongero. So it's going incredibly well. I'm really excited about next spring and being able to be a little bit more fit. Today, I want to talk about a question I got about exercise. I talked about exercise before. I went back to my trainer, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, let's say 3, 4 years ago. And with my friend, so we split the cost because hiring a trainer can be pricey. Depends on what you do, right? And where you live and everything else like that. So my friend and I both hired the trainer. But here's the thing. When I started 3, 4 years ago working out with my trainer, I still had muscle memory from the first time I lost weight with her. I was still exercising at that point. I was still in a lot better shape than I was a decade ago. So it was easy for me to pick back up and get back into the whole groove of it. I wasn't so bad off. And even now, as I'm losing weight, I'm working out with her, I'm starting to see muscle definition. I can almost feel a rib and a muscle there. It's very exciting. But that wasn't the case for me a decade ago. Let me give you this story. It was the highest weight I had ever been. I was already diagnosed with diabetes, pre-diabetes. I'm sure it was diabetes at that point. High cholesterol. My blood pressure was still pretty good at that point, but I was so overweight, I could barely even move. I was a video game player, and I played so much video games. I played something called EverQuest, and for a decade, I sat in a chair. There was one weekend, I think I played EverQuest 20 hours because we were doing this big raid and we were doing this really hard thing, and I didn't even barely get up. In fact, I started moving pop and soda up to my computer room so I wouldn't have to go downstairs and get myself something to drink. That's how bad it was. So I'm in terrible shape. I got diagnosed basically from the doctor with a form of precancer. Essentially, the cells went into 6 phases, and I was at stage 5. Stage 6 is cancer. I was so close to cancer. I was even told a decade before that if I wanted to have kids, it would be very difficult to have kids. And so my body was a wreck. They said that there was so much sugar and insulin flowing in my body, even though I wasn't quite diabetic yet. All the hormones and signals from your brain weren't getting to the right places, and so it was just getting wacky. And as it was getting wacky, cells were going towards cancer. So they did some tests, and they said, look, we can't be sure there isn't cancer in there. Right now, everything we looked at looks like stage 5, not cancer. But we can't tell. We can't tell unless we give you a hysterectomy. I had a hysterectomy. And then we'll be able to look at it and see if you have cancer or not. And if you do have cancer, when you wake up from your surgery, we're going to start chemotherapy. I can't even imagine. I gave myself cancer. I mean, I didn't know you could give yourself cancer. I mean, you smoke or you do different things, you can give yourself cancer. I had no idea that being so overweight could cause you to get cancer. And so I had the surgery. It turned out, in my case, that I did not have cancer. They didn't find any cancer cells. And the doctor was kind of weird. He was kind of a droll person, but he said, well, congratulations. Now you most likely will die of heart disease or breast cancer. And I'm like, thank you. Okay, thank you. But I like the doctor. He was great, and he was just an expert in this field. So I was very lucky to get him. But here's the thing. I am still very, very overweight, more overweight than when I started Mongero. I hadn't exercised since I was probably, oh gosh, I don't even know, high school? Let's say high school. And I didn't even like it then, and I didn't even try then. Now, had a hysterectomy, which means that I had internal stitch-like things. And so they destroy your core in the process of this surgery. So my core was shot, and I almost gave myself cancer. And I thought, you're going to die. You are going to die because of all of this. And so I took the free coupons that my gym gave me to hire a trainer. The idea was you go to this trainer, and then they would give you an exercise program for free. So you got 2 free sessions. And I took the coupon in to get my free sessions. And my trainer, so amazing. She was so amazing. Asked me about my goals, talked about what I wanted out of my life. I mean, I had believed in small steps, and I have done small steps my whole life because of other things, trying to fix other things, like the ADD podcast I just did last week. But she brought it to a science. She taught me how to incrementally work my way out of this health rut I was in. So I wanted to talk about that today. I know this was a huge, long introduction about what you could do in order to get your exercise on track. Even if you've never exercised before, it's very hard. And I've been there. Like I said, I was at that point. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even go for walks. My ankles hurt. My knees hurt. And it's embarrassing. Do you know how embarrassing it is to see all these people go walking in front of your house? I live kind of on a busy street. And you see people going for walks, and you look terrible. If I went for a bike ride, I got called names by other bikers. It was pretty terrible. When I went on hiking trails and people would see me coming, they would stop because I was taking up so much of the trail. They didn't know how they were going to get past me. And I could see the panic in their eyes. And so I didn't want to do anything because it was humiliating. And I didn't know what to do. What always happens is that initially what people will tell you is just go for a walk. Go for a 5 or 10 minute walk, which is great advice. Every well-meaning friend tells you to do that. One, it is not possible for everyone. You have to lose weight to go for a walk. I have known people's parents who had to lose weight to get a knee replacement. And they're like, well, how am I supposed to lose weight if I can't walk? And so you get into this catch-22 where you can't do anything. And so going for a walk is fine. But I will tell you, when you are greatly overweight, it is really hard. Mentally hard, physically hard. It is physically hard on you. So how did I get started? How did I get out of this rut that I was in order to do that? I'll tell you the truth that, first of all, not the good thing. It's not the good thing. It is not good. But when you are that overweight, almost everything becomes cardio. I could do band exercises with a stretchy band, cardio, because I was so out of shape, my heart would just start pumping. So in a sense, it was easier for me to get cardio because I was so out of shape and everything was cardio. So I hated going to the gym. I hated it. I mean, I'm in front of all these fit people, but my trainer's like, well, what can we do? So in this particular case, the gym had a swimming pool. I could swim, and I like swimming, and I used to be a lifeguard, so swimming was good for me. So I got every once in a while to do that. I started taking a few of the water aerobic classes that the gym had. It's great on the joints. There's no pressure there. They also had this thing, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's almost like a circular river where there's just a stream going around in the circle. And the idea is you walk against the stream. And it still reduces strain on the joints because it's water, but you're pressing against this natural force of this circular stream. And I got a kick out of doing that. And I even had some earplugs that were waterproof, and I could go do that. Easy. The other thing is, too, is that there are a number of exercises, and there's books out there on Amazon and everywhere else that you can do seated, legless, arm raises. You can do certain stretches. Even my trainer today, she has us doing all sorts of exercises that you can do on the floor. And it's not just planks, and it's not just push-ups, although you can do assisted push-ups, which means you're leaning sideways on something so that you're not going all the way down on the ground. But even there's something called the dead bug, where you're on your back and maybe you have a stability ball or maybe you're just moving in opposite directions. It's very good for the core, and it actually stretches a lot of things like your hips and everything else. There are floor exercises, chair exercises you can get started with. And like I said, if you can't afford a trainer or you can't afford a gym, there are books out there that you can get from the library or from the bookstore on how you can do floor, chair exercises. There's even some videos out there that I found on YouTube where you can just do walking exercises around in your living room where you're just walking. It's not, like I said, going to last you forever, because as you get in better shape, it's going to be harder and harder for you to get a decent workout out of it. But when you're starting, you can certainly do that. So many good things. And the other thing that I started doing when I went to the physical therapist for my surgery is he had me do something called an arm erg, which is essentially a bicycle, but for your arms. And you'd sit there and you do this. And you think, how could that be a good workout? But you know what? Like I said, I was so out of shape, everything was cardio. And they do that for people who have lower leg problems. And so I started doing that, and that ended up being very good for me too. There's also yoga classes, stretching classes that you can at least get a little bit more limber too. So my trainer, her name is Heather, she had me go on and start to do some cardio. She wanted me to do everything. So where she started me out was the elliptical machine. And the reason the elliptical machine is so good is because it takes the pounding away. So it's almost like a treadmill, but you're not pounding. Instead, you're rotating your legs around, and it's gentle and it's very easy on the knees, and you can turn the resistance up and down. So when you're starting out, I had the resistance down very low, and I started on the elliptical. I remember every once in a while, I'd be at the gym and we wouldn't even be having a session together, my trainer and I, and she'd walk over to the side of the gym and she'd crank up my levels. And I'm like, hey, she knew I was ready for more. And that really is the benefit of having a trainer, because they know when you're ready to do something more, and they're there to push you to do something more. Two other things I did. I got myself a rower, one of the Concept 2 rowers. They're built with steel I-beams. They will last your whole life. It doesn't matter how much you weigh. It doesn't matter how much you abuse it. And it breaks in half so that you can fold it up and put it in a closet. Money for money, I think a Concept 2 rower is the best money you can spend on getting a rower. I have it. I bought it way back when I was thinking, if I just bought equipment, then I would work out. I didn't. But you know what? I still have it today, and that is still the number one piece of equipment I use more than anything else. The rower is nice because it takes pressure off your knees and your ankles. You can go as fast or as slow as you need to. You can increase or decrease the tension as much as you need to, and it will grow as an exercise with you. It's a great piece of cardio, and it does great for your core, your arms, and even your legs. So I suggest having a rower. And they have fun challenges too. They have one over Thanksgiving to Christmas time, all sorts of encouragement that they do to get you to row. I think it's probably, if you're starting from zero, one of the best exercises you can do. The other part of it is I started doing recumbent biking exercise machines, primarily because the spinning machines didn't fit me. I think I weighed too much. But the other problem is I have short little tiny arms, and so I couldn't reach the handlebars very well, and so I was way too leaned forward in order to make the spinning bikes work very well for me. But the recumbent bikes, when I was particularly out of shape and weighed a lot more, the recumbent bikes were comfortable and easy for me to get started on doing exercise. So those three things are where I started: the elliptical, the recumbent bike, and then the rowing machine. And the rower is still something I do today. It took me a long time before I started working out on a treadmill. I started walking, walk. I walked for a really long time, and then I started walking and then running for 2 seconds. And then I would walk for 2 minutes. And then eventually I would walk for 1 minute and run for 10 seconds. And so I built myself slowly, but that was years. That took time to get up to that particular place, but those other pieces of equipment got me there. But the other thing is we started getting into weightlifting. So a lot of arm stuff and bench presses and band exercises. Bands are a really cheap and easy way to get into exercising in your living room. And again, a ton of books about band exercises. There's exercises you can do with your legs, with your ankles, with your feet to strengthen your lower chain. There are kick-ups that you can do when the bands are together on your ankles. And there are band exercises that you can do with your arms that you can stretch and pull apart. And you can start working up a very gentle exercise that way. Just so you know, each band has a different level of resistance. So you start out with a low resistance band and you start working your way up. I think yellow always is like the easiest, and then it goes up to green, and then it goes up to red. But there are short bands, medium-sized bands, and long bands. If you buy a set, and those sets are relatively inexpensive when you order them online, we'll give you some of the stretchy bands you put around your ankle, some of the bigger bands that you'll use for your arms, and that's a great way to get started. We, like I said, started doing weightlifting. And so we were able, because this was a gym, to start using the machines. And she liked the machines for me for starting out because they give you a guided experience. So when you're doing leg push outs, you're doing it in a very safe and controlled manner. As we started working out together and what we're doing now, it is all barbells, dumbbells, free weights, weighted balls, because now I'm conditioned enough I can do them. But when you start doing resistant band exercises or dumbbell exercises or weight machine exercises, you can move up and start giving yourself more of a challenge. And not only just a challenge in the type of weight, but as you start getting better, you can start going to free weights instead of machines that give you a guided situation that may be unnatural. That's what dumbbells, barbells, and other types of weights and bands can do for you, is be a more natural thing. You're trying to pick up your suitcase. You're trying to get something off of a high shelf. More natural in their motions. And then the last thing we started doing is something called TRX. These are straps that can hang from a door that has a little puck that you can put in the door and do some things. You got to make sure the door's sturdy enough. I tried doing some of it in a hotel once, and the doors were not that well made. But I also went to a hardware store, got a $5 anchor and a sensor that will find out where the beam is, the wood beam going across the ceiling, and I drilled it into my ceiling, and I do TRX from that. I needed to know that it was going to be able to hold this weight that I had on me and be able to do TRX exercises. And again, a ton of videos on YouTube and other channels where you can see what TRX exercises you can do. The nice thing about TRX is it will help you balance. It will give you balance challenges. And as you get better and better, you can increasingly make the challenges harder. So when you can do these kind of pull-ups and you're tilted. When you're not very strong, your tilt angle is going to be more like this. And the stronger you get, you're going to start tilting backwards and backwards and backwards. And that's where you're going to be able to start increasing your challenge. And then you can even find more difficult exercises that are there. So TRX is another great way of doing that. And the other big part that Heather always instilled in me was to just get more active overall. Park farther away in the garage, take stairs instead of going up the elevator, try to stand up and stretch as I walk around so I'm not sitting so much. And so those are things, if you could just be more active during the day, go out and mow the lawn, go out and rake the leaves, whatever it is, every bit of movement helps you do that. And I mentioned before too, like I said, there are seated exercises. You can even do seated marching where you're pretending like you're marching, but you're seated. When you're starting at no exercise at all, that will actually be pretty good exercise. You can even increase, arm movements as you're seated and going through. Anything that gets you moving. If you're anything like me and you thought, oh, this is not worth it, this is just such a pathetic exercise, every piece is worth it. Start with small steps. That's my whole podcast, right? Every piece of movement helps. And so whether you're doing a seated march, a seated workout, whether or not you can do wall push-ups. Wall push-ups are another good thing, where you go up to a wall and you do push-ups. Chair squats, where you have a chair underneath you, just like this chair, and you get up and you kind of do squats. And you can use the arm braces to just help you get down and get up. But someday, you're going to be able to do it. Leg lifts. When I went to the physical trainer with my ankle problems, she had me doing double leg lifts so that you're standing there and you're just raising up and down. Very, very helpful. There's even exercises out there for chair yoga where you can do gentle stretches. My trainer has me and my friend doing neck rolls, cat-cow stretches, ankle rotations and you can do ankle rotations with bands. There's all sorts of things you can do. And if there's an exercise you can't do, there's ways of making it easier too. So please just don't give up on it. You have to do something. People feel, and I've seen it on Reddit, you don't need to exercise when you're taking Mongero, when you're taking GLP1s. You don't. You'll lose all this weight and you won't have to do a thing. Maybe so. But you will never be healthy. You have to get into this pattern where you build yourself back up again. You have some muscles. Because even when you're down on weight, let's say you don't exercise the whole time that you're on one of these GLP-1 drugs and you don't exercise at all, you're going to find yourself skinny fat, which means that you're skinny in, clothes size. Maybe you're at the proper clothes size, but you have no muscle tone. You can't open up a jar. You can't get out of the chair properly. You couldn't go for a walk with your friends. If your friends wanted to go shopping for you and your fabulous new clothes, you tire out too soon. You can't make it happen. As much as GLP will help you lose the weight, you have to start getting into exercise. There's just no other way. There has to be something that you do. There has to be something where you start building your cardio back up. And that's the thing too, is if you are no longer overweight, and maybe you're like me, you no longer have high blood pressure, and you no longer have cholesterol issues, your heart is still very weak. Your lung is still very weak. And it'll be okay for a while, but then at some point you're just going to get older, and it's going to catch up with you. You have to do something, and it's going to have to be some weight training, some cardio training, so that you can just be a healthy individual. To me, if you can get help, if you do belong to a gym, stop being embarrassed. Everyone has something that they're trying to do, right? They're trying to get somewhere. Stop being embarrassed. Go to the gym. If your gym will allow you to meet with a trainer for free, find out. Like I said, my gym gave me 2 free coupons a year. A lot of gyms do that. Or find out how much it would cost to just go to a trainer, maybe for 2 sessions, and see if that trainer can put you on a very good beginning workout plan that you can walk around in the gym and start using. There's also people like my trainer. I go to the gym that she's at, but she also does Zoom meeting trainings, and she will figure out what you have, what you can do, and get you started on it through Zoom meeting or FaceTime or something like that. During the pandemic, that's when I started back up with my trainer again. It's all over FaceTime. We were able to do all training sessions. I set up a iPad or a phone in a place where she could see me doing things, and she'd be like, Jill, you're not going down low enough. Come on, let's bring it down a little bit lower, so she could still see enough that she could encourage me to do it. So hiring someone can make all the world of difference. You have to make sure too that this person who trains you, or if you buy a book, that it has ways that you can adapt your movements to make it easier. Like I said, wall push-ups versus ground push-ups. That'll make all the difference in the world. I started doing push-ups on a tilt using a bench press bar, and she had it tilted, and she'd move it down and move it down and move it down, and eventually I was on the floor doing push-ups, and now I can do real push-ups. But it took years, and it takes just doing small steps and changing minorly. Like I said, my trainer, she understands when to kick it up a gear, when I can do a little bit more. The other thing is that you maybe even consider a physical therapist. If you have pain, if you have joint problems, going to see a physical therapist, often covered in insurance, might be able to help you as well and give you a workout plan. So I started out, like I said, after my surgery, getting a workout plan from physical therapy, who helped me to try to build my core back up and everything that happened throughout the course of surgery. The other important thing to know too is that you should go see a doctor if you have health problems. I did that when I went to my physical exam after the surgery and said, I want to get started on a workout program. Am I in enough shape where I won't have a heart attack? So you want to see your doctor and see if you're even in shape to do a plan, and even the doctor might be able to give you a basic exercise plan as well. And so once you get to the doctor, you can see if you can hire a physical therapist, if you can hire a trainer, even if you could do remote training, sign up for a service. I'm an Apple person. I do some Apple podcasting. Can you use Apple Fitness, which will go along with your Apple Watch and through your television if you have an Apple device or an iPad or an iPhone? Is that something that you could do too? But here's the thing is that you have to be careful with yourself too, that you have to start small, go up very small increments. Try to pick something that you enjoy doing. Maybe if you have a place that you can work out and watch a TV show. So I have a place in my house where I can work out. I have a TV in there. I told myself that back in the day, I was listening to the Harry Potter books. I could only listen to the audible books of Harry Potter when I was exercising. And so if I wanted to hear any more of the book, I had to get myself to the gym and get my headphones on and do that. But maybe it's just music that you enjoy watching or a movie. I graduated now to their TV series I can only watch while I'm exercising. Then make sure that you do things like take relaxing baths. You look after if your elbow hurts or your shoulder hurts. If you work with a trainer, a good trainer will check back in with you to see how you're doing. But oh my gosh, give yourself grace in this. You're just starting out in something brand new. And it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while before you are better at this, but you have to start somewhere. You have to start with small steps. And so the thing you want to do is you want to commit yourself to being consistent. You want to schedule a time that you're going to be able to do this every time. I now have a job where I work for California, but I don't live in California. Now my mornings are free, not too early, where I can work out in the mornings. Or can you go for a walk at lunch? Or is that something you could do after work? Maybe you're a night person like I am and you'd rather do evening exercises. But make sure you schedule it so that it's just a part of your day. Set your clothes out. Make it easy for you to do it. And like I said, you just have to think about the goals. Think about what you're going to get if you do this. Are there hobbies that you can take up? Maybe gardening or maybe just playing badminton. Even when I was not in great shape, my friend and I used to just go hit tennis balls in the local tennis court. And we weren't trying to kill each other playing tennis. We just would hit it back and forth. Even go and do things like try to find good exercise clothes, things that you feel good in and that you're comfortable in. That can be the hardest thing of all. I spent a lot of time struggling to find exercise clothes because I just was too overweight. And eventually I ordered some online and found some. I found some at Kohl's and some of the department stores, and they had some bigger exercise clothes. And even now, more than ever, stores are starting to sell plus-size clothes for exercise. I thought, isn't that funny? They want me to lose weight. The world wants me to lose weight, and then they won't sell me clothes to do it. Well, I know Kohl's has it, and I know some other department stores have exercise clothes for almost every size and at reasonable prices. So just get something you feel comfortable in when you're doing exercises. And the important thing is, and this is something that Heather has taught me over all the years now that I have seen her, is that you have to listen to your body. If you're feeling pain, I'm not talking about minor soreness, discomfort, like, hey, I used a muscle kind of thing, but something hurts, give it a little bit of rest. See that it stops hurting. And make sure you celebrate whenever you reach milestones. Maybe you went from doing push-ups against the wall to push-ups against a bar. Celebrate yourself. That is a huge step. And I mentioned before that there's Apple Fitness. There are apps too. There's something called Wake Out, Break the Habit of Sitting. It is the most gentle, just need a few minutes exercise program you can have. It just wants you to get up and do a little thing. And it starts measuring how often you did it. And it starts very low level. I'm going to put a link in the show notes for a YouTube video I found for people who have never exercised before. Where can they start? There's a ton of different apps out there. Just getting out there and starting somewhere and starting with small steps and celebrating yourself and setting up a time to schedule it. That's going to make all the difference in the world. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, let me know. I would love to help you get started in the right direction. I'm not a doctor. You should talk to a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not even a trainer. I've just been someone who's been going to a trainer for a long time. And like I said, a decade ago when I did it, I was nowhere. If you see me hiking now, and you see me skiing now, and you see me going camping, that is all because Heather pieced me back together from being someone who had no fitness at all. And then when I got injured and my ankles got injured and I put all the weight back on again, she put me back together again. This is possible. I have now done it twice. You can pull yourself out of the no exercise zone and get yourself into a moderately good amount of shape just by starting small and going with that. All right, everyone, thanks so much. I appreciate you listening to this. I hope that this helps. Please leave comments. Ask me questions. I hope that you share this with other people who are maybe interested in the same thing. I wanted to let you know that I have started working on my other podcast, The Bible in Small Steps, on a channel called Small Steps with God. It is going to be a chapter a day, 3 times a week, and we just started on Monday. So today we're on episode 2, Matthew 2. We're going to start with the New Testament and then go all the way through it and then go to the Old Testament. If you're interested in that kind of thing, I appreciate you listening. And remember, you can always email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. I just want to get you started. I just want you to live a better life. Thanks so much, and please have a great day.